Yeah.
Now I need a motion and a second to approve the omnibus agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Nope. Okay, roll call, Paul.
Bennett,
Yes.
Farrell.
Yeah.
Crumbsig,
Yes.
Marcinkowski,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Washington, and Belkey.
Yes.
That's it. Now we'll move on to the audience. Anybody have anything to say? I'll call on you first, John. So you can go back home.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So I've never been to a city council meeting. Where do I go? Do
Just-
I sit up there or?
You can just
stand?
come up to the,
I'll walk.
come up there. And just state your name.
Hi, John Reardon. I live on West Center Street. So I'm here tonight to talk about some an issue we had on Friday. Our basement was flooded due to a broken water main. So running through that real quick, Friday morning, about 7 o'clock in the morning, noticed looking out our back window at our driveway that there was, water in our driveway. Snow is melting. It looked like a little bit more than usual, but we had water in the driveway at 7 o'clock. 7:20, my wife runs downstairs to do some laundry and she yelled up, "Hey, your basement's flooding," which is never a good thing. We live in an old house, it happens, but this was a bit more than usual. So about 7:30, I started pumping water out about 5 gallons a minute. And it continued to come in. By 10 o'clock, we had a plumber show up, helped assess the situation, looked inside the house, outside the house, did a good walk around the perimeter. Suggested also water might be coming from snow melt. Water continued to rise in the basement. About 10:30, I noted to the plumber that there's visibly water coming up through one of our floor drains. You can see a current running there. He contacted the city sewer and water department for an evaluation. And there was no water coming in from any other place, just up through the feeding drain. So I didn't know what time that city representative came to the house, but city arrived to assess the situation and dismissed it as, again, snow melt, and did not sample or test the water at that time in the morning. 11 o'clock, the plumber attempted to plug the floor drain, put in a rubber stopper. That didn't stop it. Put on a towel, piled a couple cinder blocks on top. Water continued to come in the basement. Water continues to rise. 1:30, I gave up on the 5 gallon a minute pump, upgraded to a 25 gallon a minute pump, and that finally got me to catch up with things, and it evened out at about 2 inches of water in the basement. But I continued to pump for several hours. And sometime in the late afternoon, early evening, we're like, okay, this isn't right. It's not snow melt. Reach out to Charlie and some other folks to help get things moving along. Contacted the city again, had someone come out and did reluctantly test the water, found out it's chlorinated. Yes, it's a broken water main, something to be addressed. So at that point, it's been over 12 hours of water coming into our basement. 9 o'clock, city workers show up to locate the broken water main, which is helpful. Thank you very much for everybody that showed up late at night. It's dark, it's cold, you're going into a wet hole. I couldn't do that, so I appreciate the folks who showed up to dig that up and find the problem. 11:30 at night, city dug up the broken water main, which is good, but at that point, what had been clean water coming into our basement turned into muddy silt, which, as expected. So about 1:15 in the morning, water main was repaired, water stopped coming in, floor drain reversed, everything went back out, leaving just the mud in our basement. So that's where we are. That's what happened on Friday. That was my Friday and early Saturday morning. Had the city tested the water earlier in the morning, we probably could have saved half a day of wasted water, thousands of gallons, pumping out 25 gallons a minute out into the street, and hours of night work. It's concerning, concerned that one, the pipe that broke the water main was about 12 feet from our garage foundation, about 6 feet from our driveway. Not sure how much water had flowed underneath all of that and any unseen damage. But really why I'm here is asking if the city has a policy or would create a policy for reimbursement, clean our basement, asking for reimbursement on that, for professional cleaning and some modest expenses for pumping things out.
We can't answer your questions right now, but when it comes to the older persons, maybe they can address something, whatever. If you want to hang around for a little bit, John.
Okay,
Okay,
I appreciate that.
sure. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else in the audience? No.
Good evening. My name's Carl. Just a couple things tonight. First, I don't know why the city hasn't procured an architect and moved a little faster on the city hall situation. I'm referring to 50 ILCS 510/5, section 5, in regards to the evaluation procedure and procurement of an architectural services. That is why, back last year, I was against the city talking to Holland Construction or any other construction firm regarding the city hall. I've since FOIA'd all matters pertaining to Holland. However, as of tonight, no documents were provided to me. Exactly what did Holland provide? We as a city could have been further along had we began the architect selection process sooner. Furthermore, I want to emphasize transparency in this project. Me, along with all the other public, is wondering how the city could allow the former city hall to deteriorate into such poor conditions. And to my knowledge, the city doesn't have an established relationship with an architect, i.e. architect of record. Therefore, the council should seek and follow the Illinois statute and request suitable firms to make public presentations. And yes, I said public presentations, as stated in the ILCS 510. I would hope you begin this process soon as to the future of our city hall. I believe even the project on Randall should be handled by an architect. It makes the bidding process so much easier. An architect will provide adherence to all building codes, etc. And I know there's a cost involved, but sometimes you just have to pay for, the projects to be done correctly. So the next item, I assume all individuals on the city council, including the mayor, have participated in the required Illinois Open Meetings Act training. I sure hope so. And for example, Mr. Krumzig, you were the last council member appointed. I was just wondering, have you taken your Open Meetings Act training yet? And I know you're not going to answer me, but just a question. And I wasn't able to be present at last week's committee meeting. However, I listened to the playback and was surprised to hear all the discussion regarding the city hall and how you shouldn't be discussing these matters in open session. You stated you would be entering into executive session tonight to discuss the city hall. Therefore, I want to point out the exception to the Closed Meetings Act, the portion of the statute which I believe the council is misconstruing when it comes to entering closed session. Under ILCS 120/2, section 2, paragraph C, item 5, if I may read it. The purchase or lease of real property for the use of public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. Are we to the point where discussing purchasing property for the new city hall? No, I don't think so. You haven't even decided what are you doing with the old city hall. And remember my first comment on procuring of an architect. All discussions of the old city hall should be an open session. So I sure hope you don't retreat into closed session to discuss the various options, what to do with city hall. Are we going to demolish it? Are we going to, rehab? Are we looking at what's the cost? I mean, we don't even have an architect. And the exception does not state discussing options, only for the purchase of purchasing property only. So lastly, I want to refer to Illinois Open Meetings Act 120, section 3.5, regarding a public access council. I am sure the city attorney could opine on this particular section. I don't think he would want to be part of any violations of the Open Meetings Act. You might want to read it yourselves as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Anyone else in the audience? Okay, the young man back there. Oh.
How y'all doing?
Okay.
We're from McKendree. I also play football. We're on we're taking a politics class, and then we're just gonna observe, just learn, and take in everything that you are saying because we've never been in this environment before. Also, my name is Jermaine Irvin,
I'm Jaden Grove.
I'm Keyshawn Hill.
Brandon Palmer.
and thank you for having this thing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else out there? Going once, twice, 3 times, no? Older persons?
I'll adjust my neighbor John here a little bit. I'm sorry that happened. I didn't realize that was going on. I was also gonna say thanks to the water department for coming out and fixing that Friday night. But I didn't realize what was going on in your basement. As far as what we can do about it, I think in the past, we've said you have to go through your insurance. And yeah, I don't know what to tell you about the moves after that. I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in.
Where was the break at?
So it would have been under the alley that runs along, parallel to West Center Street.
So it wasn't on your property?
It was not.
There's, the city does have insurance for these types of things. Just that we have to follow, you have to file a report, and we gotta submit documentation to the insurance company. And they'll make a determination
Okay.
as to what they'll do. I know this from experience.
Any other older person?
Question, why didn't we test it the first time that we came out? Sorry, my boss.
I walked the alley, there was no place where there was water runoff from the melt. There was a lot of water running off of John Wright's garage. But there wasn't any visible, like, yes, this is a water leak. I did spend about a half an hour there with Maxim Plumbing to assess what was going on. He too felt that it was an issue, kind of an odd issue, because were talking about cleaning the sewer. There was no sewage coming out of this. If it was connected to the sewer main, there would have been sewage. Their sewer leaves at a higher elevation, so still, even though this happens, no one knows how it was getting into this drain. They don't know where the exit point of the drain was. We still don't. We never came across a drain in the alley. So question, the first time, I didn't enter their house. I never spoke with them the first time that I was called there. I was called there by Maxon and talked with them in the alley. It wasn't until later in the evening, and I kind of take a little bit of resistance to the reluctantly tested water, and nobody asked me to go do that. I went there to address the situation. That is, at the time I saw there was much more water running down the alley. It was in the evening. There was obviously no melting going on at that point. So there was a good stream of water running down the south side of the alley, and I was able to grab water there and test it. And called the crew right away and went out there. We had to wait. It was about 8:30 when I got a hold of everyone to come out, and we waited over 3 hours for the Julie locate. They could not locate the fiber in the alley. So yes, it was a much longer period than what it would normally be before we would start digging. Normally we have to wait 2 hours. They at 10:30 were still trying to locate that line, which they never did. So they marked the entire alley and told us we had to hydro excavate it because they couldn't locate it, which is not a normal procedure either. We didn't hydro excavate it because it wasn't a thing that we could do at that time and address the situation right then. So as soon as they marked, which is what we have to wait for, we started digging, and I don't know how that turned to, I mean, obviously the water in the hole when we start digging turns to mud. How that is getting into their house, I still have no idea. They could have a rock area that drains that floor drain. I cannot tell you that. All we know is there was a leak. It's under the part that was paved behind the Methodist church and Charlie's house. So there was no place where the water was exiting through the road for us to see it easily. Even when we started digging, we thought it was John Wright's service connection, his tap onto the main. That's where we dug first. And it was not, it was the main, so we just had to keep following it to the east and then find where the line was broken. And we finally finished that up about 2:30 AM.
Yeah, excuse me, any other older person? Linda?
That's the shelter.
No, I didn't say anything because it was committee. If you want to go, if you want to say something about that.
Okay. Well, I've been working on trying to establish a disaster shelter here in Lebanon for over a year. It's hard getting in contact with the Red Cross. I finally got in touch with the Red Cross on February the 2nd. They were really happy to hear that we're trying to establish one. So, at the present time, I'm waiting for a call back. They want to make a visit, come out, see the area that we've chosen for the disaster shelter. And then they'll let us know what all we need to do. So at least I've got that far. So as soon as I hear something else from them, I'll let you know.
Okay.
And I'll get your water.
Linda, did that include like warming and cooling station too, or is that just in case like tornadoes and things like that?
Warming and cooling,
Okay,
but it's not for people that have been like burned out,
right.
you know, and need to stay somewhere for more.
It's just kind of a temporary fix, right?
Right.
Okay,
It's just temporary, it's not. It's,
okay, thank you. Any other older person? Guess not, we can move on then. Who we got here first? I think it's you, Brent, Land Commission report.
Yeah, we're gonna rely on Paul. Do you have?
Yep, you can pass that down, guys.
Okay, I'll ask him, or what's the address on that? This was about a month ago. So we had 3 items on our, we did not have a meeting this past week. Nothing on the agenda, which makes our heart happy because we had some long meetings earlier in the year, so we were okay with no meeting sometimes. There were 3 items, and the first one is just a certificate of appropriateness in the historic district for a little awning that sticks out about half a foot or 18 inches, I think. I think, did they get copies, Paul?
Yep.
Yeah, it was all in compliance with the district. And it was unanimous, so that's a recommendation. And then we had 2 more VRBOs, and they're very consistent with the previous ones we've approved. We put the same stipulations on both of those. I think one was at 424 West Main. And the other was on Chute Street, I believe, 209 West Main. So both a couple blocks away from each other. We're recommending approval, but what I wanted to talk about, we talked about clustering when it came to group homes, right? I mean, there is freedom in this country to use your property the way you want. On the other hand, do we want to be a vacation home destination, or do we want families here? And so we would be willing to explore that, but if you guys say don't do it, then we won't bother. We didn't want to have a big to-do about it, and then, well, that's a terrible idea. But we've got quite a few of these now. And it is a short time frame, though. I think it was a couple of years on both of them, or they actually have to renew every year to make sure they're in compliance with code. So there's automatic renewal, so it can be withdrawn at any time if they're not in compliance. But there's no reason to believe either one of these are gonna fall into that category. So we're recommending approval on both of those, but I wanted to get a little bit of feedback before I bolt out of here on what your guys' thought was about that whole, do we want a whole subdivision full of VRBOs? But I enjoy VRBOs when I'm traveling, so I get it, and it's perfect for McKen, you know, that's where a lot of these folks are doing this, you know, through McHenry with parents for weekends and things like that. It's not a nuisance for the neighbors or anything, but it's just, it becomes a long-term picture, and we can do some research. I think there are some communities that do have limits, but I haven't started doing that because it'll probably be a bit of an undertaking.
I've done some research on that because of other issues we've had to address. And it is not uncommon for a municipality to have limitations on VRBOs. So that we don't have an entire, so like you say, subdivision of VRBOs. So if you could maybe do a little research and come back with some ideas for us, I think that would be a good idea.
I mean, I can be swayed, but my own son-in-law and daughter have a Airbnb. I don't want to vote yes for anything that would run next to my house. And I think that all those Airbnbs should be in a business district. That's my point. It should be in a business district because it's a business. If it's not a business, then you know, they can do what they want with their house as long as it's with the compliance of the codes of the town.
Some of them are being used as a combination, like short-term rentals. There's a lot of medical professionals that cycle in and out for 2 months at a time, or base personnel. And so they'll be rented for a couple of months and then they cycle out. So what I would call short-term rental. And then in between, they might do VRBOs. You know, the flip side of that is it's helped fix up a lot of properties in town as well. So I'm not advocating one way or the other. It's just, it's been a concern of ours, and do we want to address it?
Well, you said it right. I mean, I want neighbors. I want people that move into town, have kids, go to the school, they choose to put their kids in school. And I know it's happened all over the country.
Yeah.
And then when they first started up, they couldn't do anything to keep them out. But I think then they started realizing they could, but I don't know, I had a lot of people reach out to me about that, and I thought, you know what, I'm not gonna vote for anything that I wouldn't want next to my house. And I wouldn't want neighbors. And I have no control over who they rent to, because I had an Airbnb, but it's in the business district. And I had to kick out people every once in a while, it's not fun. And if you're a neighbor and you have to call the police, then you're dealing with that too, so. Anyway, that's just my feeling now. I mean, I could be swayed because I don't know enough about it, but I know enough now that I wouldn't want to vote for it if it wasn't next to my house, so.
I think too, a lot of these homes are more like startup homes, and they're in a price range that people with extra funds are able to snatch up real quick, and they're like, great, let's do an Airbnb here.
Sure.
But a lot of these younger families and newer families that need a startup home and everything else, and try to, you know, build that equity or what have you, and I think buying up all these little houses like that and not giving these families that have to go through the banking system to try and, but then it's already bought by somebody who's got, you know, and it's taken all these starter homes away from young families. I mean, not all, but I feel like that's kind of been a thing that I've personally seen, so.
How many do we have in town?
6?
Well, we have 6 on record, but we've got
Yeah.
2 that are really active. And then 2 that are just average. And then the other ones right now, there's 2 others that aren't really doing anything right now. So.
You know, I think the thought is if we're going to do something, now's the time before you get 10 of them requested, you know, because we should have that discussion before, because they'll come up to City Hall and, you know, hey, can we do this? Well, if there is some provision in the code, then it gives City Hall some latitude to say no.
Yeah, I think we should have at least some type of cap of some sort, because we don't have a hotel here, but we have the college here. People want to come see their kids, you know, and spend time with them. And, you know, being out by the hospital and everything else, this puts them right here. So, I mean, we could probably easily have 20 of these things.
Get that in.
Yeah.
What kind of term, for research, are we looking at approximate?
I think we can, it wouldn't take that long and we'll go off and figure out what other municipalities on both sides of the river have done, if anything. And then we probably want to talk to the attorney a little bit to make sure we don't go a place where we shouldn't, but there are communities that have certain stipulations anyway. I mean, I guess we're all volunteers, so it might take a couple months, but really if we got on it, it wouldn't take that long.
I have a VRBO across the street from my house. And there have never been problems, but then the owner lives just about another 50 feet away. And so, things are pretty controlled on that, and they do, rent primarily to medical personnel, teachers coming through, whatever. But families don't have any place to go in this town for university activities.
Right, and they do spend money if they're here for the
But that's what I'm
weekend.
saying, they will spend money beyond the rental.
Oh, you need this back.
Good.
So I think we should explore what other communities are doing. And don't be so restrictive that we don't have anything, but at the same time, perhaps control. Read in the paper, some communities have been going through issues where they're putting strict controls. In Belleville, for example, they can only have so many short-term rentals in, within a certain area. And they restrict them to an area like, visit a business district, it's one of the historic districts.
So basically it falls into one of three categories of restrictions that you'll see, outside of the ones that just flat bar it completely. You'll have some that limit the number that they have in that whole community. You'll have some that will limit geographically, like they can't be so close to another one or something to that effect. Or they will look at limiting them to only certain zones. So I believe like Troy, I think only allows it in their historic, like their business one, because they're trying to get, like they want it to where those apartments or whatever above the businesses and stuff.
Yes.
It's kind of like aiming for a destination type of thing. Some will only allow, so many in the single resident, SR zone, allow more in, like the business or community neighborhood business or whatever their different zones are. I think some will allow unfettered amount in their light industrial zones. I don't know how many Airbnbs you're gonna end up with in your industrial zone. So those are kind of the three that I've seen or worked with as far as types of. And a lot of that depends on kind of how your zoning is and whether or not those zones overlap where you want people to be and things like that.
I mean, we did this similar with building height restrictions. We kind of did the research, pulled some other codes, and then had a hearing and went ahead and made a recommendation to change those. So it would be the same process here as we can come back to the ordinance committee too and just say, here's kind of what we're thinking for a hearing.
I just remember when the couple came a couple weeks ago and went on Main Street, and they were concerned they have little kids, and they have, you don't know who's renting each night or each week. And at least when you have a neighbor, if they're crazy or not.
Yeah.
And so you can deal with that. I just appreciate that we have a great block where I'm at. We have all good neighbors. We all talk. We're a community there. And I just look at my family with having 5 kids. I just wouldn't want an Airbnb next to me. Not that they're terrible in themselves, because they're good in some areas, but that's what business districts are for. And we don't have a hotel here, but we have one 3 miles away. And we also have all those, found, they're still gonna come and eat here. They're still gonna gas up here. They're still gonna do all the things here. But I just can't see us continuing to do that. Now, they also say this can bring in tax money, but let's face it, if they're going through Airbnb, we get the tax money from that. But after a while, if a person stays at that Airbnb more than once or twice, they're going right through that owner. And they're not paying any tax on that. Because the owner's not gonna tell everybody that they're getting money for that, so. There's problems built into that, so, yeah, if they're going through an Airbnb, we get a tax. But if not, they're just going right through the owner. So, I think that's something to think about.
I would just like to add, so as someone who has small kids, I'm someone that appreciates Airbnbs because when my mom and my grandma come to visit the kids, that's the only place they have to stay in town. And my only caveat on what I have trouble with our business district is they can't go upstairs. So they have to stay somewhere that's on a main level, and we don't allow Airbnbs or any kind of place like that to be on our main levels in our historic district. So it's a tricky place. So like I need places like that. Every time my grandma comes to town and they stay in a hotel in O'Fallon, we eat in O'Fallon. We don't do anything in Lebanon. I go and I meet them there because I have to drive them back to the hotel anyways, and there's a lot more options. And so we go and we eat there instead of, if you're here and you don't have an excuse to leave town, and you don't already have to leave town, then it leaves the tax dollars in town. They, feel like, let's go ahead and just eat here so we don't have to go. So I do think that there needs to be some limitations on it to where we don't go crazy. But until we have a hotel, it really is the only option. And so from someone with a young family, I understand what you're saying about the starting out homes, but at the same time, I would like my family to come visit. And we do have a lot of people that are transplants here, that the rest of their family's out of state. And so that's the only way they can visit. One of the things that we discussed that came up that I was curious about if any other municipalities have done is like with our liquor license, to get a liquor license, you have to be a resident of Lebanon. That's like your bar manager or something like that that's overseeing and responsible for that. We were talking about, is that something that other municipalities would do? Because we were talking about if someone gets one, let's say they live all the way on the other side of St. Louis, they're probably not going to feel the same responsibility to keep up with the property and make sure they're putting good people in there and things like that. I'd be curious if other municipalities have put something like that says that, you have to own it. The owner has to be from Lebanon or here or somebody overseeing it to where there's accountability there and someone that can't hide from us from not answering their phone over in Missouri type of
So,
situation.
yeah, and so you're bringing up a lot of the issues that we kind of
Yeah.
bounced back and forth on. And it's not even a debate, it's discussion. But I think, the two that we approved here, both are, I think, owned by someone who has one already in town, have had no problems and are very close to it and ready to pounce on problems. So that helps,
Yeah.
but I don't know how you put that in an ordinance, but. All right, well, I didn't mean to take up that much time. Bonus, we'll get some feedback.
Go ahead, Linda.
With that Airbnb, they would probably go to O'Fallon to eat anyway, depending on the individual. A lot of people are not gonna go to like to the bar and grills of town or the Creekside. A lot of people that's not their thing, and they're just not gonna go there. So they probably would go to O'Fallon to eat anyway.
Got a question, Luke. Since the recommendation comes from the plan commission, we've discussed things, what are stuff, can we go ahead and vote on it, or do we need to get more information?
You can vote to request me to prepare the ordinances for the next committee meeting.
You want to vote on?
Everybody hear that?
Yeah.
What did he say?
That we asked the city attorney to prepare documentation for the two. ordinance that
Yeah.
Approved by them,
There's also the third,
Yeah, the sign.
certificate of appropriateness to be hid,
So on all three things then.
all three items.
Okay.
And we'll have it for the next meeting.
Okay.
Unless if somebody wants them separated, they can ask for them to be separated, but they can be done all together.
In discussion?
Exactly.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, okay. Thank you, Mike. Okay, roll call. Everybody knows what we're doing, right?
Pushing it back.
Yeah.
No, we're doing it officially.
Yeah.
Two permits for Airbnbs or new sign.
At least we learned one thing tonight is that we need a hotel in town possibly. So if you're listening somewhere, Somebody be a good investor in town.
We've tried several times,
Mm-hmm.
got some promises several times.
Yeah, we're growing.
Okay, roll call, Paul?
Pharaoh,
Yes,
Crumzig,
Yes.
Marcinkowski,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Washington.
What are we voting on?
So the motion was by George to have the attorney draw up the ordinances relevant to two Airbnbs and a certificate of appropriateness.
Yeah.
Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
that's it.
Is that it? Okay, now Mr. Todd Hinderleiter from Waste Management.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to start off with a thank you for inviting me here. Happy to talk about waste management, happy to answer your questions. Second, if you don't know it, Brent Wood's a heck of a baseball player. If any of you didn't know that.
Is or was?
Yes.
Yeah, still is. Me and I play against each other in men's senior baseball, and he's an animal. Okay, he's an animal. Lastly, to the McKendry Group, more power to you for being here. This is a great place to learn stuff. I go to 32 of these throughout the Metro St. Louis, and they are enjoyable at times. But you do learn. First of all, the reason I'm here is the weather and how it affects weather. Okay. First, let me apologize for the most recent weather event. Alleys are difficult. I don't care what town you're in. Okay. And who knows, maybe the 10-ton truck ran over the alley pipeline and broke it. Who knows, right? Alleys are difficult. Skinny, inclines, all those things. And if they don't get treated, they don't get plowed, then it becomes what I call wagon wheel tracks, right? There's sheets of ice and snowpack going up and down. Contrary to anybody's belief, those trucks are not off-road vehicles. Okay? They're not. Matter of fact, the worst thing is that they're stopping and starting. If you're stopping and starting a 10-ton truck on an ice sheet, what's gonna happen? Gonna get stuck. Or slide and take out property. Okay. So I just want to set the parameters correctly, that when there's a snow event, especially for the alley people, okay? It's difficult for our drivers to do that. Safety is the most important thing. We have to follow OSHA regulations, okay? So without question, if they think that it's a safety issue for themselves, for you, for your property, then they're gonna pass on it. Now let's talk about that for a second. Whenever there's a snow event, there are three things that should be happening that all of you should be invested in. One, I contact the city and tell them what the services are going to be over this weather event, okay? If I know in advance from our operations that it's gonna be, we're pushing everything one day, I let the city know that, they can put it on the website and so forth. But the second part of that is every one of you should be getting contacted by Waste Management. Now, what does that take? Okay, I hear you.
We've never been contacted.
I hear you, okay, and again, I apologize for that. But here's my point, let me ask you this. Have you confirmed that your phone number isn't correctly attached? Have you confirmed that your email is correctly attached? If you have an online account, is it up to date? Okay, you have all three of those vehicles, you should be getting a notification. If you're not, my apologies, let me know. I'll refund you. Okay? It's important that everybody have all their updated information so that you can get that information, right? Second part is it's a go or no go for our operations and our drivers. If they say we're gonna go and push it out one day, then they'll come and service what they can. And then they'll push the rest, probably for a week. Okay?
That's what I'm here to talk about tonight. I think we can do better. I think we can do better. I think with the city's help, we can do better. Okay. Primary reason it gets pushed out is the driver who services Lebanon on Tuesday is servicing Millstadt on Wednesday. Or some other town. So it's not like we have people sitting around and waiting that can come back in town and drive. Second is, we have more seasoned drivers than we have regular drivers. Seasoned drivers, I'll use this analogy, I always do. The seasoned driver is the person that lives in a high water subdivision. And their creek rises and they're familiar with the landscape and the road and how high it is, and they'll take their F10 truck through it because they're familiar with it. If I'm the driver driving down that road and there's a sign that says high water, don't do it, risk yourself, I'm not gonna do it. Agreed? Okay. So that's the concept and mentality of our drivers. Now, what I'm proposing, what I'd like to do is this. I don't think that, I agree that in some cases it should be pushed out an additional week, right? Because the road is still packed, still icy, still all the things. If it gets pushed out to 2 weeks, I'm more of an advocate for you than I am for Waste Management. What do I mean by that? Okay, at that point, I think it's a driver who may not be comfortable going down the alley. It has 2 or 3 slick spots. So going forward, I'm gonna have the drivers take pictures of the streets they can't service. I'll let the city know. You guys let me know if it can get serviced. Right? And then we can work on getting back out here sooner than later. The other thing is, I'm happy to work with the city on maybe providing some budgetary money for treating alleys. Because how many times do you have to treat the alleys in the winter? 3, maybe 4? Okay. I'm happy to talk about working on that. Okay. Anything we can do to get the service done at the time is ideal. But I do want to, again, stipulate that the reason that sometimes you get pushed is we're not gonna have a truck run over your car. Or take out a family walking down the street. That's simple. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Well, where I live, we have road. And, if a week is missed, we're gonna have everything on the ground in the street. So who's gonna clean that up?
The drivers are responsible for cleaning that up.
Cause
They ain't gonna do it. Heck no.
Okay, well, that's important that you tell me that, because here's the deal. If your service is being pushed out a week, even 2 weeks, okay, then you should be able to put out a second week's worth of trash, and if your cart is full, then you should be able to put extra bags outside and those should be serviced.
Yeah, but we know that doesn't work, not in the real world, not in Lebanon, it don't.
Well, I need to know that, and I appreciate some.
When she's done, I'll talk to you.
Okay.
With raccoon, cause we have
Sure.
a lot of raccoons.
Yeah.
Out there, and we see red ones too. So, you don't know who's doing what, but your bags are torn open.
Sure.
And, nobody wants to live around there.
Sure, understood. No, it's the driver. It's really this simple. If we're pushing you out another week, there is knowingly gonna be extra trash. Right? Okay, and more times than not, your cart's full, you gotta put the bags on the side. That's on us because we're pushing you out an extra week. Right? So we should be picking up the bags. If they get ripped, we should be cleaning that up. If it's not happening, I need to know.
Well, you hit sorry, my voice, but you hit the word on the nail, should doesn't really work. You could push out a family of 4 with 1 can, there's gonna be bags on the side all the time. Luckily, I live on a street where I throw a lot of extra citizens bags of trash in the back of my truck, and then I just go find a dumpster and dump it off. Is it the legal way? No, come find me. I don't care. Arrest me. But with that being said, you said if the 3 things up to date, you should have no problem. You take my doggone money. It's not my fault if you don't have enough drivers. Go hire more drivers. I don't like waste management. That's my personal opinion. I didn't have these problems where you would call, I'd be better luck getting a job with Jurassic Park. And before I actually get a hold of somebody, before they, well, we'll try to get out to you, then it's another week where I got 5 bags of trash. And again, I've literally watched your trash guy just come, pick up the trash can, he be on his way, he gone. He ain't picking up all these extra bags. Same thing, I live over by McHenry, see it all the time, trash everywhere. And it ain't just McHenry, it ain't just my street, it's all around Lebanon. And you all know what I'm talking about. If you're scared to say it, that's you, I ain't scared.
And maybe it would be helpful on the times where you miss a week, that you put another guy on the truck with them, because then they can get out and throw stuff in, because the guys that are driving the trucks, you know, it's pretty hard for them to start picking up garbage, but if there's somebody with them, they're also held accountable because there's 2 guys in the truck. We haven't had any problems, and in fact, we get calls or text messages letting us know, so we haven't had any problems where we're at. And plus, again, we have good neighbors, so we know all of our neighbors. Some put one garbage bag because it's a single woman or whatever, so we get, hey, we have too much garbage, can we put it? Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. So we have that in our block, but yeah, it'd probably be helpful to have 2 guys in the truck in those situations. I don't know if you can have it, but you should be able to.
Should's a good,
Yeah.
good point. When it's-
Excuse me, Todd, I'm gonna interrupt for a minute. John, do you need to go?
Yes.
Okay, go. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I'm not even talking just during the winter time when we don't get picked up. It could be a 90-degree beautiful day. I've watched a guy drive right past my doggone house.
Okay, so let me address that. City contract is cart content only. Okay? You can have as many carts as you want. First one's free, next one's, I think, $2.50 to rent, okay? So cart content means cart content. You're putting bags out outside of weather incidences or anything that's being pushed. That's why they're not getting picked up.
I'm talking just straight, not even picking up the trash, complete,
I understand.
the can itself.
Could that be somebody who didn't pay the bill? Could it be?
I don't know.
Could it be?
Exactly.
So, okay. Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Could be somebody who didn't pay the bill.
I got a question.
Sure.
Probably everybody on the aisle probably think I'm crazy, but, if my road is kind of in an alley, but it doesn't get treated or, cleared like, the other streets, but the main street out in front of mine does. Now, could I drag my can and put it out on that main road and
Absolutely,
they would grab that?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, there are many options. On a snow day, if you're an alley person and the main streets are out there, you can pull your carts out there and they'll get serviced out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wonder if the school buses can get through. Why the trucks can't make them.
They're not going to the alleys though. That's the problem. And not only that, though, school
I'm
buses.
talking about on my street
Okay,
and some of the streets over there by me
sure.
where they're not picking up. It's just school buses, you can't get by to pick the children up. I don't understand why the garbage trucks aren't picking up the trash.
And I'll answer that in 2 fashions. One, this is why I'm gonna have drivers start taking pictures of the streets that they say they can't service. Okay, I think that's the biggest, the word we heard earlier was communication. I think that's the biggest piece of communication that would be most helpful, is drivers gotta, and that puts the onus on the driver now too, right? If you're giving me a picture of a street you can't service, maybe his manager says, okay, you can't do it, but I'm gonna send somebody else out to do it, right? Okay. Second part of that is school bus ways. Anybody? maybe loaded with kids, 2 tons. Maybe. Trash trucks, 9, 10 tons, compacted.
But if it's not safe for the children.
And here, that's the greatest point that you can make there is, there are standards for safety that everybody must follow, should follow. Some drivers have been doing this for 20 years and they're comfortable with weather environments. Some are not. Okay, and they have to follow the OSHA standard.
I probably shouldn't do this, but I'll open it up to the audience for like 5 minutes to ask questions. Okay, Carl?
We live on Chandler Drive. We watch the trash truck on the snow day pick up all the trash cans on the south, on the
one
south side. Didn't pick up our side. So why, if the trucks had come through, then we tried to contact Waste Management? It's a service. You don't have a phone. The email says, well, no trash today because of, no, well, we saw the truck. So.
And then when I logged in and finally got to a point, it said your container was not out. It's like, oh, yes, it was.
And it's not, so then we dragged the container in, because again, I agree, you go to Mill Scott, you go to, so there's no tax, there's no, hey, we missed. So what happens to the driver? Because he missed about 8 houses, maybe other streets.
Is it a one-way street?
No,
Dead end street?
no.
There's no, then there's no excuse.
And it's happened in the summertime, 90 degrees, what?
Do they not have a map or something that they mark, like I went down this street, I just.
They have a computer that they're supposed to be following.
But then it pops up, container's not out, which is not accurate.
And that's your excuse, container not out.
So,
So do we have to take a picture of it every time?
well, no, here's the thing, and I'll throw it to the city. Look, I'm the liaison for the city to take care of your problems, okay? They don't need your problems from the garbage standpoint, I do, okay? Put out my email address, okay, on the website. You have any problems like that, reach out to me directly, okay? And I'll make sure you get taken care of, and I'll refund money because you shouldn't be paying for service you didn't get. Okay? It's about communication, okay? Should. Right? They should be doing all this. I feel like they're not. Then I'm more than happy to go to bat for this entire town about holding our drivers accountable to doing the job they're supposed to do.
Okay, for the audience, we had a couple minutes left. Anybody else? Nobody? Are you finished, Todd?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to what? Tom and Joe.
Hi, guys. My name is Thomas. I work with Connexus in community development. We are actually looking at building your guys' town under our fiber internet network. So I'm going to talk for a couple quick minutes, pass it over to Joe. We're based out of Sullivan. We were established in 2002 under Zach Horn. He then started us out as Metro Communications, switched us over to Connexus. We still are Metro, bought out Connexus in 2016 for our fiber to the home project, where we started servicing smaller villages and cities like this, to bring a really quality internet service to you guys instead of your dial-up or even your copper lines coax. We love to give back to our communities that are Connexus communities, so we're super excited to be involved here in town. He is gonna go over your guys' actual construction process. We do have educators that are gonna go door to door, hopefully here in town, that are, employed directly by Connexus. They kind of act as someone who teaches residents and consumers about what fiber is, how it works, and how much you actually need for your home, because it works a lot different. In all of your guys' packets are things about business partnerships. There may be a piece of pricing in there, a little handout on the construction flyer. You'll also see my contact info. If you guys have any questions, you can definitely reach out. I act as a liaison between the construction crews and the city. So if you guys ever have a question, it's definitely definitely reach out to me at any time. That's my cell and my personal email, so I'm pretty much always attached to it. Now I'm gonna pass it over to Joe. He's gonna go over your guys' actual construction process.
I'm gonna go ahead and put myself over here just so I can speak to everybody. My name's Joe Piercy. I'm with Metro Communications. As Thomas said, we are the sister company for Connexus. And what we do is we provide the infrastructure for the internet in towns. So our process, we do everything buried underground. And the reason why we do that is it protects the actual fiber optic cables. So you'll see it in a lot of towns where they'll run it up on the tree or on the telephone poles. Let's say a storm comes through, right? All it takes is a limb and you're cutting out half the town's silage. With underground fiber, the great thing about it is you are not affected by storms in that way. So the only thing that's really gonna cut out a section of the town is if someone comes through and they dig 2 feet in the ground and then cut through our conduit and cut through our fiber. So the process of what we do is if we got your approval to come into town, is we would go ahead, we call everything through the Illinois Julie system. So that is, I know it's kind of upsetting to some homeowners. However, we do stay out in the right of way. So whether it be city, county, or state right of ways, and we try to keep all of our utilities at about the 2-foot depth. And the reason why we do that is we stay away from the water. We're up higher away from some of the other utilities. However, when we do go through places from a legal standpoint and from a safety standpoint, we do open up and visually see every single utility that we cross. And the reason why we do that is, you know, there could be a gas main that runs through, or a gas service, or a water service. We have to pothole and visually see when we're drilling underground that we are away from that utility. So there's no damages, there's no safety issues along that line. I'll kind of open it up to questions. If anyone has any questions about, you know, the process. Feel free to go ahead and ask me at any point in time, or I can hang out here for a little bit after the meeting. If anyone has any, anything they want to ask about the potential project here. Everything we put is also, like I said, inside conduit. So that's another thing I forgot to address. So let's say there is a damage, right? It's super easy for us to get in. We can open up from vault to vault. Run a router through, figure out exactly where that hit was at, repair the conduit, cut the cable on each end, pull it out, have it spliced and ready to go within, you know, 6 or 7 hours from the time, saying that we're 2 hours away. So we could have everything back up in 6 to 7 hours from Sullivan for that particular hit. Is there anything that y'all would like to ask me? Anything from the city?
Well, I know Penny, we mentioned Julie, and we're just a small city, and if you're doing a large amount, plus we had another fiber company approved in the last month. If you're both working at the same time, I know her and Cody had concerns about, you know, we can't keep up with finding our utilities fast enough. Are you guys gonna work slow enough, sort of? You know, not so you're here for 2 years, but slow enough so you can let them catch up with their work.
Yes, so we've been in plenty of places where we've had to share locates with other fiber companies at the same time. Generally, we're gonna understand that slows things down quite a bit. And I personally have worked in towns like Paris, Illinois. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. We worked simultaneously side by side with another fiber company called Pavlov out of Champaign, and a company called CCG did all their boring operations, but we flexed and we were able to slow down a little bit, which is nice. You know, during the summertime months, obviously we like to, you know, get a decent amount of borable footage in the ground, but we do work with individual cities and locate companies to make sure that we're able to spread that out. Can you tell me if the utilities here, is that all marked in-house, or is it split between Ameren and USIC and State Center, or?
We only mark water and sewer.
Okay.
For the city, USIC marks and states both.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, well, that kind of helps out too, you know, especially with the city, for the most part, the sewers or storm drains and things like that. They're so deep, that they're way out of our purview.
Laterals aren't.
The laterals aren't, I agree with that, and that's what we would be looking at, we would be digging up laterals and things of that nature. Same with water, we would be digging those up as well, anytime we cross it. However, having those other companies come out here and mark the other utilities does, I think, help you in the position of being able to locate more. You know, kind of some of that's farmed out to other companies. However, I understand there's limited resources in the town. I'm not sure how many people work for your water or sanitary department that actually go out and locate the facilities, but that's something that we could work with you.
The other issue I see with that is that, laterals are homeowners. So they are not something that we locate. So even though you're gonna be on the right of way, laterals are gonna cross that right of way, and you're not gonna be able to know that there's even laterals there.
Yes, ma'am.
So then, you know, repairs are an issue. We talked about this with the prior company as well. And with this particular company prior, I believe, was what one of our issues was with. And that was digging, boring through a main that was marked, sewer main that was marked. And didn't know about it for months until.
Can I address that real quick?
Sure.
So we actually do with all of our in-house crews and our contractors, everyone's obviously licensed, bonded, insured. But what we do as well, if we do have any contractors and something like that were to happen, we take what's called a retainage fee. So we keep 10% of every single invoice that's sent to us. And we hold on to that for a certain period of time. And, you know, let's say it's 2 years after the fact and we come through and there was a sewer lateral hit and it was dug up and you can clearly see, hey, there's an orange and black conduit here. We only use solid black and solid orange 1-inch conduit. If both of those or one of those, and you can see the other one, are laying through the middle of that, all we need is a picture so I can verify and we can pull it out of the retainage fees as well. And then if it's, let's say that it was 2 or 3 years down the road and you found that, and that company was no longer with us, we just pay that from our company and then we go have our attorney deal with that in claims court. So that'd be something, any damages that happen that are within 18 inches of the mark. So let's say that everything's marked correctly within 18 inches. If it's hit, we're paying for it. That's just plain and simple. That's Julie law. And we make sure that we handle all that.
So I have a question for
Yes, ma'am.
clarification here. So you guys need approval to be able to do this. What would be the benefit to us having you guys doing this at the same time when we already have a company that's coming into, like, I think if, like, you guys are working in one area or whatever, this sounds like a nightmare of trying to keep who's where and what company's doing what, or they're going through a yard and then their grass comes back and then you're coming through it.
Yes, ma'am. And I completely understand that. It is a bit of an invasive process and it is kind of complicated when you have 2 companies in town. The thing that I have found that alleviates kind of some of the issues is we go speak with that company. We find out kind of where they're working so we can start on the opposite end of town. So we can keep good division between what their company's working on and what our company's working on within a certain period of time. Now, within those periods of time, like we may only be in a neighborhood or on an individual street for a day or 2. However, we have all of that. When they send their invoices in, we have it mapped out. We have what days they were working and what areas. So if there's damages that come in or anything, any homeowners complaining about the holes in their yard not being backfilled correctly, or they didn't put enough seed and straw down, things of those nature, we do have the ability to come back out and fix those without being confused as the other contractors. Now, I do see your point whenever we get over into that area that the other contractor is working. Obviously, depending on the time of the year, the grass might not be growing back up yet. There is a little bit of an issue with deciding who is at fault for that. But we're pretty good about documenting and usually we'll stay as far away as possible from the other utility. So let's say that the other fiber company comes through, they bored everything into the ground. We try to stay as close to the back of the right of way as possible. But we'll be able to locate and see where our holes are at based off where our conduit's at in relation to theirs. So we run tracer wire with everything. And when our locators come out, they locate it right down where where our conduit is, and we can see, okay, this hole was dug up, it was backfilled incorrectly, or what have you. This is in line with where our conduit goes, we're gonna claim this, and we're gonna fix this.
I guess like my biggest question is, what is the advantage to the city and to the residents on why they should approve a second company coming in right now? Like, what's the advantage to us?
So, us coming in, it builds competition. And that's a great thing. I've seen it in a lot of places, especially with our company. If we come in, there are huge advantages to the introductory services that we provide. I've seen it to where some places will get 2 or 3 months of free service just because we are in competition and we want to win your service. So we want to win you as a customer. So it just builds that competition and it drives prices down. And realistically, I mean, yes, you can have other internet, you can have, DirecTV, you can have Frontier, whatever, but fiber is the future of internet. It's the fastest internet there is. It's protected because it's underground. And if you have multiple companies in a town, it's just gonna drive down prices. So, I mean, that's kind of all I have as far as that goes.
Are you guys local? Like, will
We're based out
somebody-
of Sullivan, Illinois. Yeah, so we're about 2 hours away. But we have built towns as far south as Robinson and Alney on the east side of the state, all the way up to Kankakee, all the way over to Depew. I mean, we're all over the state now, and we have the backbone to build all the way down to the very southern tip of the state, all the way up to the north.
The
So,
work is your people, or do you guys contract everything out?
so we do have a lot of in-house jobs that we do. However, a lot of what we do is contracted, yes. Just because the capacity of work that we have going on at any given time. I mean, it's next to impossible if you don't use contractors on a lot of things.
Through speak English.
Yes, and I say that.
You laugh, but that's.
There will
have that
be-
issue.
There might be a handful that are not bilingual, but for the most part, especially all the crew leads, the drill operators, they should be completely fluent in English. But as far as, the guys that are out just manually digging holes, some of them might have a harder time, communicating with you. Yes.
So as far as the liability goes, are you guys carrying that liability then, or
Yes,
are your
we
independent
carry-
contractors carrying
So we
liability?
both carry liability, but what we do is we have the final say on everything. So if something's damaged, they don't get to say, no, we're not gonna pay this. We will pay it and we will just take it out of their retainage. And most of these companies have been with us for 6, 7, 8 years. So we have a relationship built with them where they know if they're in the wrong, or even if they believe they're right, but we determine that, they were at fault for something, we're gonna force them to pay for it. But we're gonna pay for it first. We're just gonna end up taking that money back on the back end, if that makes sense.
Okay,
I can have one more.
yeah, go quick.
And that is to have, similar to our dig on Friday night, the more of these companies that come in, I get the competition, I get the great service and all that. But the more of them come in, the more that are in the right of way. And the more difficult that makes it for anybody who has to make a repair. They're at 2 foot, okay, that's great. They're above us all. So if they come in to make a repair, they're digging 2 foot and not competing with anybody else. But for us, we're 3 to 4 foot deep, maybe a little more in some areas. Now we come in, they're right on top of us because it inevitably happens that they put it right on top of the water lines. And now we're to a point where we have to hydro excavate an alley, which takes a whole heck of a lot longer than digging with the backhoe. So, I mean, I don't know what if there's even a way to limit the number of companies, because I know that they've been, we've talked about this before, but it does make it very difficult to dig in the right of way once there's, 2, 3, 5 fiber companies, all in different conduit, all, and now we've got an area that's, a 10 foot wide right of way, and it's full of everything over the top of it.
Now,
Like
what
looking at
I will
things.
say with that is we don't typically run directly over anything. Now,
Saying intentionally.
on cross shots and things of that nature, yes, in order to bypass your water and things of that nature, yes, we would have to cross. However, you know, if there's issues, we can redesign things to help out the city to try to avoid, you know, those situations. I'm not sure how close to the back of the right of way most of the water main is running, and things of that nature. But we do try to work with the city and try to stay away from the utilities as much as possible.
Okay, Joe, I'd like to thank you and Thomas for your presentation. I don't think any decision is gonna be made tonight. We gotta move on.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yep, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, now we'll jump on to committee reports, cemetery. Amber's not here. Ordinance, George.
We have nothing now. We meet again on March 2nd.
Okay, public property, Paul.
Yeah, couple things. Thank you, Carl, for bringing some of this stuff up. We have been working on it. The next meeting is March 2nd at 6:30, and then I want to, recommendation to proceed with obtaining engineer plans for 103 Randall Street. And that's the first thing on my,
Okay, the recommendation comes from committee, so it doesn't need a second. Any discussion? Roll call, Paul?
Rumzig,
yes.
Marcinkowski,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
and Farrow.
Yes.
Okay, number two, Paul?
We talked about a little bit about this last week, but we need to bring it up, to approve, water tower repairs for the electric at the square. And, I would suggest bidding it out, but up to $4,000. We kind of have a guesstimate on it right now. It's probably between 3 and 4. But you know how that always goes. It always, adds something on there. So I would suggest, approving repairs for up to $4,000 for that project.
You want to make a motion? Okay, second?
I'll second it.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Do you know what the scope of work like entails on that?
Well, underneath the water tower, there's kind of a little bit of a rat's nest of everybody who's adding on to it. Outlets, GFIs, all sorts of things. It's not good. It's actually dangerous if somebody really gets into it. It's not a big project, but you know, $4,000 is $4,000. So we need to get a couple people to look at it. Problem is, there's been so many different people working on it that everybody has a different way of doing things. So we just need to clean it up. So we won't approve anything. I mean, we need to get the approval to go ahead, and then I'll make sure that the bids are correct, and then that that there's a good plan for it, so it's not a rat's nest again. So we're not just kind of repairing it, we're replacing it, so.
Okay,
So-
so the only reason I ask is I talked to some of the people that host events and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and one of the issues that they've had is the electrical that's actually ran up to the sidewalk, I
Yeah.
guess is only partial, it's there, but it's not like dug in and done correctly. Is that part of what we're bidding out is to,
Once we get a couple people to look at it, then we'll determine if we need to do anything more than that, and if so, I'll come back to the committee to look at that, because it needs to be done correctly. If not, it's not worth doing. So if we can't get it within $4,000 to do it correctly, the whole thing, then we won't do it until I come back to committee. So that's my suggestion. So is that, did I answer?
That's not how that works. So if you want to put it out to bid, we have to do a resolution
You guys get an
that
estimate,
says it's
Paul.
going to bid and what exactly the scope of the work is going to bid. It's a little bit of a stretch to put a cap on the bid, because it's based on the scope of work. So if all three of them, I mean, you either have to be willing to take whatever the lowest responsible bid is, or you need to figure out, have an estimate before you set a cap like that.
Well, I need to get 2 or 3 estimates, maybe not so much as a bid, to say, what is your best remedy to this situation? And then once we figure out what that best remedy is, I can have 3 different people bid on that project. So how do you want to word that?
So then what you're talking about now is seeking, inspections of the electrical and for coordinating what the scope of work needed is to repair the electrical under the water tower.
Okay, so do that first before we vote on whether to spend up to $4,000.
Yeah, typically what we would have done is had like our engineers or somebody to that effect go in and look at it and come up with the scope, and then we would bid out the scope. Because the bid goes public, and then whoever is interested in bidding on it, bids on it. It's not we go get 3 different companies to say, hey, give us a quote on this. It's not like replacing the water heater in your house or something like that. So that's why it's a little bit different. If you want to first start with having somebody come in and come up with the scope of what the work is for the bid, that would be the first step.
Okay.
You just want to reword it or table it until it gets
I think you can approve obtaining
estimates?
Consulting with an electrician or engineer for the purposes of developing a scope of work for repairs to the water tower.
Okay, so get 1 or 2 people up there, give me a good,
What they think.
yeah, what things were done, and then go from there. Okay,
Without the dollar amount
without the element.
in the motion.
Correct.
Okay. So because there's gonna be no money involved with getting estimates, to, well, not just estimates, but kind of a
Motion, yes.
overview of what we need to do, so. Okay,
Correct. And then the next step would be at the next one to approve putting out to bid the scope of work based on what that investigation comes back with.
okay, so
Everybody hear what Luke said?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready to go then? Okay, roll call, Paul.
Marcinkowski,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Farrell.
Yeah.
Crumzig.
yes.
That's it, okay, no,
And the third one was, we're speaking about 312 West St. Louis Street, the old city hall that's up on West St. Louis Street. We talked about this a little bit last few months that I've been an alderman to approve to what to do with City Hall. I'm suggesting that we get some estimates on what it's gonna cost to tear it down. What's it gonna cost to take care of all the electric, plumbing? And then also get estimates of if we're gonna pave it, fill it in. We don't even know what we're gonna do with it yet. But we talked about it so many times that we're at a place where, in my opinion, that it's not a building that's repairable. Well, everything's repairable, but we'd have to tear the whole thing down in order to repair it, basically. So my suggestion is that we tear it down, and whether we use that same property for the next city hall or we're buying property for the city hall, but we need to do something with it. Now this is all in view of the fact that we have MedStar in there, so we can't tear it down until we find a home for them anyway. So, but we need to start getting some numbers and a plan on what to do when we do get MedStar, because if not, we're talking years down the line and that place is still sitting there. We're still putting gas, electric in there. All the costs that are costing us for something that's just for MedStar right now. So, I'm basically trying to get approval to get some people up there to give us some estimates about how much it costs to tear it down. So we also have to figure out if that's what we're going to do as a council. We talked about it, and I think we all kind of pretty much agreed that that's what's the best way to spend our money in this town. Yet we don't know. If we had tons of money, this would be a no-brainer, tear it down, build a new building, find property or whatever. But because we don't have tons of money, unless somebody in the audience has, $7-8 million sitting around, this is a difficult decision to make, but I don't think it's a difficult decision to make to tear it down.
I would make a motion that we abandon the building and seek estimates for demolishment.
Now, we can't abandon the building until we get MedStar out.
Right.
And that's part of the 113, so,
Yeah, but we need to get some estimates.
yeah,
For the cost of demolishing the building,
yeah,
and then we can set a calendar once we have that.
yeah.
And we do have though some estimates, do we not, from, 'cause From what I
Yeah.
recall, we had somebody come in and kind of give us more of an idea what it would cost to get
To
the
renovate.
building
Yeah,
back up to speed. And,
Yeah, it was astronomical. And
oh, it was unbelievable.
and that was only
Is it, but do we have that, that's available out there? Charlie, I thought maybe didn't you put that on the?
That's the
website?
one, that's the one, not even a website. I think it was the one where we got kind of a walkthrough, no itemization or stuff of what needed to be done, just kind of like an estimate, kind of a ballpark figure, kind of like you mentioned the $4,000 a while ago. It's
Yeah.
like, nobody knows.
There's a scope.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah,
there's a scope.
because there's just so much
Right.
to take care of, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm with you. It's, the building is just so far gone, it would cost us taxpayers,
That's
an astronomical amount to try and get it back to something.
I had a citizen, I'm sorry.
The longer it sits unused, the more it's gonna cost us to maintain it.
I had are you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a text from a citizen in town, sent me an article that was, worked on, and I think it was 1999, I'm not sure. And it did have an article in the paper about how they, took the doors and put new windows in the front and put new lights on the front. But there was nothing done on the interior building except painting, and so all the plumbing, just so the public knows, all the plumbing in that building is in concrete. And electric is in concrete. The roof is bad, it's been bad for years, they've been patching it up, there's been leaks in that building forever. In order to repair things in there, we'd have to tear up the floor anyway. It takes all the walls out, the roof is bad, there's really nothing savable in that building.
The
It costs-
foundation's bad.
Foundation's bad. We got part of where the basement is, which is not much of a basement, that's in jeopardy of having a file cabinet go through. So that's why we moved everybody out. So if you haven't been listening for the last number of months, that's what's been going on there. So if you're a business person, you're not gonna take that building, renovate it, and then put people back into it. It costs way more money to do that than to tear it down and build something new. So anyway, so we're looking at options. As a committee, a bunch of us went over to New Baden, look at their building a little bit the other day, and they're building a new building there. And it's looking nice. However, it's all about money again. So, but we have to do something with the building. So that's what I would like to do. Get some estimates about how much it's gonna cost so we can make better decisions as a committee. So
I would make the suggestion that the motion be to with qualified individuals regarding the possible demolition and costs thereof of the old city hall building. The reason, the reason I say that is because in case there are hazardous materials in the building, it covers seeking consultation with mitigation professionals and things like that.
and we already know that's in that building. So
Yeah, we do. So if that's.
Yeah, we do.
Okay,
okay.
need a second?
Second.
Hang on, I might need a motion for him to email me that motion.
It would be a motion to approve consultation with qualified individuals regarding the demolition and cost thereof of the original city hall.
I'm at demolition.
It's recorded.
It's recorded.
That's,
Yeah.
that's true.
I'll second what.
Thanks, guys.
Well, I got, I've got, the motion is Farrow and Smith, second.
Okay, any more discussion? Nope, roll call, Paul?
Smith,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Krumzig,
Yes.
and Marcinkowski.
Yes.
Is that it? Okay, streets and alleys,
One
Sean?
more thing real quick.
Okay,
I just want to mention, I forgot earlier, we had one of our college students at McHenry, was at a party, passed out after drinking a lot and, was in a, kind of a little ditch cavern. And one of our police officers saved his life. And, I know a lot of these college students, sometimes just sowing their wild oats, and that's what happens. So I want to, really appreciate it. When we hear a lot of bad things, we complain about a lot of things with stuff that's going on in the town. But whoever that police officer is,
we need to do something for him because it was a great thing. So he was minutes away from being dead.
And that's, there's another, I wasn't gonna bring this up here only briefly, but gonna bring this before you in a couple of weeks. I'm waiting on something. But that did happen. Officer did an outstanding job. And he was very close to dying. We had another incident where a citizen, I'm not gonna mention the person's name, saved another person's life during that cold spell. And I'll bring this to you in 2 weeks. I'm waiting on someone. So,
well, thank him for us. It was awesome. So
You can fill us in when it's your turn, Dave. Okay. Okay, finance, Mike?
I was curious where we're at with the debit card, credit card, is it?
We're still looking
Sure, okay.
into exactly what we have to do and what it entails. That we also, I believe, Luke, you can help me with this, but I think we found that in is it the personnel manual, or that there's also no reference to having that, so we may have to make changes to that to be able to,
No, the personnel policy actually recommends having it.
okay,
Allowing for the credit cards, it's the purchasing policy. It had a section for the credit card and that was removed at some point. So we would have to add that back in as well as figuring out exactly who's gonna have it, how that applies with the personnel policy and all of those kinds of things.
so still working on the steps of the logistics to get us there, but I am working on it.
Yep, no, just curious. I didn't want to make sure I didn't miss that. That's all I got. We will meet a week from tonight at 6:30.
Okay, and what day is that? No. Mike, what is that?
What?
16th, week from the day.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, water sewer, RJ.
Okay, we meet Monday, February 16th at 6:30. All right, so I'm gonna apologize now, but here we go. So the committee recommendation to approve TWM to move forward with plans and specifications for Herman Street water line. Now, why I said I'm sorry, because after we had approved that at our committee meeting, I kept thinking about it and just being frustrated with TWM and the not really anything kind of rolling with the lift station. And then giving them this project as well. I know that they have the project already for that street there, but then to give them this too, I don't know, I just yeah, I don't know if we can change things or not, but maybe go with a different different engineer firm because of the issues that we're still having with that lift station. I just felt like I needed to say something about that because it was kind of eating me up. I'm like, man, why didn't I think about that at the time? But I didn't, so I'm apologizing for that. But I had talked with Penny and she said though that they did meet and not Penny, but Hair Plumbing and DWM did meet last Tuesday or this Tuesday.
No, TWM met with their,
Oh, they didn't meet with Hair, I'm sorry.
they had gotten a proposal from Hair for the replacement of the entire station. And then they had a meeting with their insurance to discuss how the process will go. That was on Tuesday. I told them that I would make contact with them, weeking them, which is tomorrow, to find out what came out of that meeting. The plan, since our meeting with them, was for them to put the station in as it was intended to be.
Right.
And so that process entailed them getting them the price from Hair to do that, or someone else. They did get a price from Hair. That would be, they're the ones who put it in, so it seems like that would be person who they would want to replace it then. And so I don't have any more information than that. I'm to contact them tomorrow regarding what happened at the Tuesday meeting.
I I don't even know if we can even discuss the fact.
Well, since the recommendation comes from committee, whatever stuff, do you have to go back and reevaluate the?
But here again, though, too, Penny worked extremely hard on getting us that grant for this project. And so I don't wanna risk either though, but maybe I guess the next engineer thing that we have to approve, maybe look at somebody else if they're gonna continue to drag their feet with us and I personally just feel like they're dragging their feet. They could be all over it, but that's just how I personally feel. And I don't know, that's why I'm kind of bringing it up to you guys too, to see what.
I
don't-
think we need to move.
Yeah, please.
I'm not opposed to whoever the council wants to go forward with. The only reason I suggested TWM was because they are doing the street project, so all the finger pointing goes down to one company rather than two. I think we'd be okay to go with another one. If we want to postpone it till next week at Water Sewer, talk about it again. Everybody's warm and fuzzy, as I like to say, about what the decision was made. I'm fine with that. I just don't want to push it down the road very far because we do need to get those plans and specs going so that we can get this water line done before that street project
Right.
goes.
Right.
So we do have a deadline on that grant as well, and that's $100,000 that we want to take advantage of.
Right, so that's. Yeah, that's why I'm apologizing, because I should have brought all this up last week.
Do you know that deadline off the top of your head or?
I don't know when the street project starts and what kind of more, held to that deadline than the actual money deadline. I think as long as we start in, 26,
This year.
end of 26, I think we're fine as long as it's started. I can confirm that date before Monday though.
But thanks.
So if you're not comfortable with it, we can push it back a week.
I mean, how do you guys feel though? I mean, or is that something that we have to go to take the vote first?
So you have three options. You can either let it go to a vote and then you can either pass or deny, fail it. Or somebody could make a motion to refer it back to committee for further discussion.
I think since it's your baby, if you're not comfortable with it,
Well, I just,
go with what you know.
it's, yeah, but then Penny had good points too with us, Hair, I guess, not giving them the quote because we hadn't paid them, they weren't paid for the project and the work that they had already done. So there's other things too, and it was on my mind. I felt like I had to bring it up and not say something about it. So.
I guess I feel like we got enough else going on. If there's a problem with this project, then we can.
Yeah.
Now use adjust our relationship with TWM.
Okay.
That.
Yeah, I mean. Yes. I just.
So Mike, are you making a motion to?
I was afraid you were gonna ask about it.
No, so there would be, somebody would have to make a motion to refer this issue back to committee.
Committee.
I will make a motion to refer this. Wait a minute, no.
No, he's.
I know, I wanna go through it.
He wants to,
They don't move forward.
he wants to move forward.
Back to committee, it's at least 2 weeks delay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
no, I don't, I guess I'm.
Yeah.
I'm moving to vote on it.
I'm voting, I know.
yeah, let's just take a vote.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say anything, Tammy. Okay. One quick,
Do we have a timeline on the lift station?
right, that's Penny's thing later on about her stuff, when it's her turn for the department heads. No, one water and sewer as far as the chair, but we're not as far as Penny. Okay? Okay,
So you're going with the recommendation from committee?
Yeah.
Okay, so
you're going with this as it says on here, doesn't need a second if we go with this. Okay. Doesn't need a second, so no more discussion, roll call, Paul.
Washington. Yes. Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett. Farrell,
Yes.
Trumzick,
Yes.
Marcinkowski,
Yes.
and Smith.
I'm gonna go with my brothers and sisters and say yes.
Okay, that's, health and safety, Linda, you got any more to say?
Yeah, I have got to say this earlier, but, back in the day, during the fireman's picnic, the councilman used to ride in the parade. And I was just wondering, how many people would be willing to do that this year?
You got an ordinance against throwing eggs?
That's what she's saying. Lynn is volunteering for the dunking booth or whatever.
Tell her what you just said, that's.
I said, there's an ordinance against throwing eggs.
Oh.
Moving on, we do have an ordinance that doesn't refer specifically to eggs, but.
This is the producer thereof.
And that's a good suggestion. That's a good suggestion.
I think it would be really nice
Yes.
if we could get some city representation into the parade.
Because in the past, it's just been the mayor
Mhm.
with a little bitty piece of paper, handwritten, mayor.
Not this last time.
We want you to touch.
I think.
No, yeah, tuck you.
Something better to identify our mayor. And I think some of the council members should be in there.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get us a farm wagon or something so we can,
I think we should put you in like a Lamborghini or something.
We can look into that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
that's a good idea, Linda. Is that it?
Yeah,
I don't know. Okay, well, raise your hand when you're done, then, please.
What about those cards? Those business cards you were supposed to be getting for.
They're supposed to be coming real soon. They're already ordered. They should be in hopefully this week, maybe next week. Okay, is that it? You sure?
I think that's a yes.
Oh, that's all right. All right. Okay, Arnie, personnel? Nothing, okay. Okay. What? You said nothing? When do you meet again, buddy? You still know? Okay.
This Monday, February 16th. 26th.
Okay, I'm just gonna mention something here. Paul kind of said we went to see the municipal building in New Baden. We all went on Friday, February 6th. It was all the personnel that, office personnel here. It was, who else went? It was a treasurer. And those two, and two older persons, all the older persons were invited, but those are the only two that went. And Luke went, and
Well, in the off.
yeah. And I went, and their building has the has the city hall, the PD and EMS. And the footprint of their building is like 15,000 feet, which if you take that in acreage, it's like almost a third of an acre. So is what their building takes up. I'm not gonna tell you the price of what it was, but it was up there. So that's all I gotta say. Clerk Paul?
Nothing to report.
Okay, who we got here? Jessica?
Yeah, the only thing, I had is, Luke, I don't know if I need approval or how I go about or discussing. If we want to go ahead and try to start getting a line of credit for the city to have it available because we don't have one now. If that's something that can be discussed to have going, or if I need to take that to finance or what the process is.
It probably would be best for it to go to the finance committee.
Okay.
So there would be a request by you to put on the next finance committee agenda for discussion and approval of obtaining line of credit for the city.
Okay, perfect. And then the only thing, I had month in January, interest earned on our accounts. I had that, completely figured. So we got that at the end of January. At the end of the month, we got paid then for all the money we had moved over to Bank of Springfield. We ended up getting $12,742.97 in interest across all of the accounts. So just giving you guys an update on that, like I said, I would. That's all I have.
That's it. Okay, you have anything, Luke?
One thing just to confirm, based on the agenda that you are meeting on Monday. Because it is President's Day, but obviously our calendar and everything says it's Monday, so.
Yeah.
Just want everybody to be paying attention to that. And I only say that because most of my other ones, they don't meet on President's Day, which causes its own issues. The other thing, just that was brought up, was about hiring the architect first, with regards to the new building. One thing that we learned in New Baden was that trying to have the architect design the building before you knew your parcel, actually creates more work. Because they started designing the building for one parcel, and then we actually were able to obtain the parcel that it's being built on. And it actually costs an extra $150,000 worth of architecture fees. So just keep that in mind as far as the timing of who you're hiring and when, and the strategy and how we move forward with some of those things. So, I think that's pretty much all I have. Obviously, with the stuff on planning commission will be there for committee for next week, so.
Okay, thank you. Department heads, chief?
We've received most of the equipment on that phaser grant we wrote and received. Still waiting on the cartridges. That first payment is $21,600. That'll be grant money it will be paid on. And then we have training finally coming up in the end of March. So we can't even carry the new tasers until we can get our certifications in the training. So that should be done at the end of March, and we should have them ready to go then. We had a school throughout this past Friday. You have to take them very serious. They take a long time. They're a lot of time and effort put into it to identify if it's credible, that kind of thing. Wound up being 2 juveniles, being pretty stupid, quite frankly. Their parents were ready to choke them both out, but everything worked out. But that's after a lengthy period of time trying to figure out who did what and everything else. So that was Friday. I kept the mayor in the loop on that. SRO, I'm meeting with the superintendent Wednesday, and we're gonna get some things worked out. Under the current contract, the city attorney and not you, but the old city attorney and the other school attorney, they kind of worked out the details. I'm gonna get much more involved in this one. Change a couple things in the contract. That's why I'm gonna meet with him Wednesday and get things worked out then. So I have.
That it?
Yep.
Okay, streets. Cody's not here tonight. He had a death in his wife's family, I think, whatever stuff is reason he's not here. Water, Penny?
I think I spoke on most everything I needed to. Tim, answer to Tammy's question. I did, when I reached out to TWM about, where are we? And they told me they had that meeting. I did ask them for a timeline. It's one of the other reasons that I gave them a week to be able to do that after they're speaking with with their insurance company. So that call is to be made tomorrow. We'll be pushing for some deadlines to be in there because of our timeline with the grant money as well. That's all I know about where they are right now, other than I did confirm that the station is a 12-week lead time. So once they give the supplier, that was Cogent, the landing vendor, confirmed by both names. Once they give them the order, it is a 12-week lead time just to get the new lift station, and that is to the job site. So that's, Can you say that again, Penny? I can't hear you. There's a 12-week lead time, on that lift station. The same, that we had brought out there before. There was 12-week lead time on it then. There will be again this time. So we're 3 months just for that getting to the job site. That's from them ordering. So in saying that, we're going through this spring with the same issues that we've had in the past. We won't have to bypass pump onto the ground, obviously, but that pump will be there all spring as it has been in the past, but we will be using the force main to bypass pump if necessary. I would suspect that we are going to have the same issues that we've had in the past with rains. That station that's there is not in any way able to help in the situation. because of the elevation issue that exists. Any other questions anybody wants to ask? I'd be happy to add them to my list here for my conversation tomorrow.
So are they putting in a whole new lift station then? Are they just extracting the one that's in there and then putting in a whole new
Yes.
system?
Whole new, just like what's there on the
Right.
paper, but they will also be having to remove a lot of the other infrastructure that was put in along with that. Now,
Right.
those, they will be able to reuse the valve vault. That has to be removed because it's too close. The depth is greater on that station. They'll be digging a bigger hole. So that has to be removed. Still haven't heard back if the electrical panel will have to be removed as well, but there is piping from that electrical panel, which will definitely have to be redone. All of that is part of what is on PWM, not on the city. But in saying all that, we need it to be done. Well, we needed it to already be done, but it has to be done by the end of the year.
Yeah, how long do we wait until you lean on them really hard? I mean, we have,
Well, 12 weeks, they gotta be out there. I mean, when the station's ready, they need to be there, ready to put.
so you're looking for an answer from them within the next few days.
I'm looking for a timeline from them tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, whether they can't, I mean, I don't know what their contract with Hare is gonna say. But I think that that's something they'll need to put in there is that, they've got to get it in the ground within so many days of when. Weather permitting within when it comes in. So that should be, I would think, they were in February, by the time they order, March, April, May, we're talking summer. I mean, this one they had installed in a day. Basically, the station itself, the actual part that was put in too shallow, they put that in a day. I would probably think it's gonna take them the better part of a week because they've got to take the old station out. And that's being optimistic, but I would think within a month's time frame they would be able to get it in. And I don't think we're to the point of I'm not in the point of being real worried about their time frame yet about getting it done by the end of the year, but they need to get it ordered. We need to know what that time frame is.
Yeah.
So conversation will happen tomorrow. And I'll get back with you at the water and sewer committee meeting next week and you'll know what response I got from them.
So the discussion of taking it out and it potentially breaking in that game we were gonna play for so many amount of times, that game's over.
As far as I know, it's over. They've
Okay.
got a bid, they've sent it to the insurance
Okay.
with the full station.
Perfect, okay, that makes me feel a little better at least, that we weren't playing that game again in a couple months.
Now, well, whether, I don't know, I don't wanna confirm
Yeah.
that because I don't have that answer, but that is what I was told of what's
Okay.
happening on last.
Tammy, did she answer the question you had?
Why did it take so long? I mean, that's going on 8 months since that happened.
I can't answer that question other than knowing that the only things that I know that held them up is us paying Hare. Because Hare was not going to give them a bid without having the money, because they've already paid for that station, everything that's out there. Was part of that contract and they have that money out of their pocket. It was not Hare's mistake, it was TWM's mistake, so. We've spoke about that before, they needed to know that we were going to pay them for what work they performed. I don't know why, I mean, I couldn't give you a timeline, I have called numerous times asking where we are. And this is where we are. I know they just got that bid from Hare within the last month. And that meeting was set up for Tuesday, so from there, I can't answer anymore. We had our meetings with them, which was probably but it was probably 2 months afterward when we were
Yeah.
still arguing about what the process was, so.
Penny, when they came and did that, that guy and that girl come and give us that presentation on that, did he not say dependent upon who was gonna pay for it? If they were responsible, then they could get their own people and wouldn't have to use Hare? Do I remember that correctly or am I incorrect?
They did say that.
So why are we using Hare? Why couldn't they have gotten somebody real quick?
Well, they could have, but I don't think that they thought that that was a smart plan on their part and that the bid would have been much greater because someone else is not gonna know
Mhm.
how it was installed. So they were in hopes, I think, that they could just add a section to it, which then we didn't agree to. And there was some issues around that with, you know, it not being as watertight. There were things that we weren't comfortable with at that. So that is, I'm assuming why they didn't do it. I don't know the answer to that because I'm not their company.
Mhm.
That it? Okay, unfinished business, none. New business, Luke, can I dismiss the audience before we do this or
You
after?
have to do the motion.
Oh, then I can dismiss, okay. Motion to go into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2 C1 regarding the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employees of the public body and pursuant to 5, excuse me, 5 ILCS 120/2 C5 for discussion of purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay,
To include who?
to include the chief, the treasurer, and you, Paul. I guess you have to be there all the time anyway, though. And Luke, of course. Okay,
We didn't, the inspector.
well, inspector, he's not here. He didn't have anything. Sorry about that. No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, roll call, Paul.
Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Krumzig,
Yes.
Marcinkowski,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and Washington.
That's it.
No vote taken, right?
No, let them leave.
No.
And there's not gonna be a vote.
No, no vote, so everybody can leave that's in the audience. I thank you for your participation, showing up.